Okay, I think we're live on this one now too. Boom. Two. We're doing two. I might even do one later solo. These little quick shows. But this is a pretty interesting development. Matt Laslo, who's recently joined the UFO community, probably about a year or so now, he said some interesting things about harassment and the way it's affecting the issue, the UFO issue, and kind of impending its progress in Congress. Now, this one's going to be really quick, really short to the point. But what did you think about this, Art, when you saw this today?
I think he's connecting the dots finally. I applaud Matt for doing so because, yes, there's this online harassment ring on UFO Twitter that, attack people that are designated to be attacked.
Yeah. And I'm gonna see if anyone wants to just hop in and give their I'm gonna put the this might be a best, this might backfire, but I'm just gonna throw the StreamYard link in the chat if anybody wants to hit up that. So yeah, no, I totally agree. Matt Laslo, like I said, he's a reporter. He's actually been around for like a minute. I don't know if you know this, but like in like 2004, I think, and even stuff. When I looked into him when he first came on the scene, he was like he's a traditional Washington reporter in DC, covering like I think he was covering like Iraq war stuff and like on C-SPAN and stuff during like the Bush administration. So he's been around, and recently, like I said, he's been getting into UFOs, which I personally really appreciate his reporting. Um, I'm pretty sure it's like one of the only things I actually pay money for. Because yeah, he does what a lot of the times what he does, and I didn't pull any of it because we're just gonna talk about this harassment thing real quick. He goes in the he's a lot of times he's out there in the hallways, getting these quick gonzo journalist audio clips from lawmakers about the UFO issue, and I very much appreciate it. I would hate to see him leave the community, but here's some of the stuff he said. And again, this one's way shorter than the last one. This one was only 4 slides. Um, he said, so this is yesterday or a few days ago. Ever wonder why Matt Laslo and Joe Cahill, who we don't dare tag because of pieces of shit like this person, and he's quote tweeting someone who says, shoot, I don't know what he's. Well, let me just read it. Are the only two reporters in Washington on the UAP beat. Just like most of Congress, journalists trust UFOX to do one thing: curse, berate, attack, and harass them. Do better. So I think this is all kind of stemming from this recent bout is stemming from the Senate hearing and Lou's testimony and kind of this energy around Lou, but definitely after the Senate hearing with Gillibrand and the new Aero director, John Kozlowski, who, by the way, I actually really like. I know you might not like him, but I don't know. What do you think? Where is this all coming from?
Well, I kind of do like the new Aero director. He seems like a nice guy, kind of, low testosterone, but whatever. He is who he is. He's a nice science guy. Where it's coming from, I think it's coming from the troll farm that Elizondo appears to be running, where he, you name someone as a terrorist, you name someone as a gatekeeper or a debunker, and then all of his little minions, target and comment on these people's tweets and tell them that they're a piece of shit and all sorts of terrible things.
Yeah, and we saw it really heavy with Susan Goff, right? Because he called us out Susan Goff in his congressional testimony. I didn't pull it. I maybe should have. He calls her out basically everything other than by name. And then, she was just kind of sitting at that hearing, and people just threw the biggest hissy fit about her just kind of sitting at that hearing. But yeah, so you see this, and I didn't pull this either, but John Greenwald's spoken about this at length, like I think a year or two ago, but how like these congressmen, they flip on people in this community, some of the more rabid elements of it, like if they don't do exactly what you want. And it just, to me, and I've been saying this, and I'm glad Laszlo's saying it too, and you've been saying it, like this does not help the movement at all. Like acting like a deranged lunatic because the congressperson doesn't do exactly what you want is a surefire way, and as he's saying here, of making sure like you don't get any progress on that issue. So that was his first little statement. This one was a little more on the nose. He says, we've also heard from a lot of lawmakers and their staffs who won't touch the UAP issue because they feel harassed by the UFO x UAP community. Tiny snapshot of what we see on Askapol's feed. And I will just read some of them. It's like, this is all in response to, I think, Gillibrand's comments following the hearing. No, cunt. Let us all find out in our own interesting way. Fuck that cunt. Himes is an MIC stooge. He isn't worth your time. Himes is an absolute ignorant human being. How can you be that dumb? Fuck off. Fuck you, asswipe. Fuck no. The time for courtesy is over. Fuck these gatekeeping piles of shit. LOL, you said news is coming yesterday. If you don't have new content, don't hype up the community. Fuck you. You dumb, arrogant fuck. Do you have an actual life? What an unattractive chud you are. Gillibrand is on the obfuscation path again. She's an anti-human technocrat. And honestly, these are pretty light. These are right from what we've seen in the community. I still totally appreciate Laslo speaking about this. But yeah, and again, this is somebody, guys, who's literally in DC like every day. I promise you is in DC more than pretty much anyone else in the community, right? So him saying, and I'll read it again, we've also heard from a lot of lawmakers and their staffs who won't touch the UAP issue because they feel harassed by the UFOX community. What are your thoughts on this, Art? Like, what the hell? Like, and I feel like we've been saying this, right? But it's just to hear someone like him say it, who's there every day. This harassment stuff is really serious, is it not?
It's extremely serious and it's hurting this movement. I mean, we should not be attacking anyone like this, even if you think they are a quote unquote bad guy or a gatekeeper. This is not productive. Other Congress people are going to see this and their staff are going to see this and be like, Gillibrand has been, fighting for this, and she steps 1 foot out of line and says something that these people don't like, and they just immediately turn on her and dogpile her. No one wants that.
And he said this. He said specifically, like, we've heard from a lot of lawmakers and their staffs who won't touch the issue because they feel harassed. Not because they're not interested, you know what I mean? Or not because they don't think there's something here, but just because they don't want to deal with all the bullshit from this community. And I can't blame them, dude. I cannot. And you have to picture, too, they have so many things on their plate for them to even ask, you know what I mean? Like, to add another thing is one thing, but then to add another thing, and there's this element of, like, I mean, to me, this just screams out these conversations are happening a lot in Congress for him to say this. A lot of lawmakers and their staffs who won't touch the UAP issue because they feel harassed by the UFOX community. Yeah, craziness. And then one last stream I have, or one last little slide I have up. Again, this one's going to be really quick. He retweeted the King Milkfart Harassment Archive. Askapol did. So I think this is a little bit of a sea change. As we all know, the King Milkfart Harassment Archive is run by Moran Lerner. They've been documenting a lot of this harassment, trying to illuminate what's going on, trying to raise awareness of it so that it could stop and we could all move forward on like a good light, working together. Disclosure should be beautiful. It should be honest. I know that sounds kind of like dumb, but it should be beautiful. It should be honest. It should be open. There shouldn't be this element of like, if you don't do what we say, we're going to act insane and unhinged to you, especially when it has connections to some of the people at the top. So this was the clip he tweeted, and I think this is an important clip too, because this is Matt Ford, who, in my opinion, has partaken in some of this craziness. But this is what he had to say. I don't know if you've seen this clip, Arthur, but this is what Askapol retweeted today.
When we have certain people on Twitter that kind of rage tweet towards certain senators, one particular male individual that tends to rage tweet towards Senator Gillibrand and others, I can tell you for a fact, Senate and House staffers read those tweets. They hear it. And in some cases, that stuff gets passed on to these senators. And here's the bottom line. Here's the takeaway for all of you at home watching this. We need to extend our gratitude to Senators Rounds, Schumer, and Gillibrand for reintroducing the UAP Disclosure Act as an amendment to the NDAA. It is essential for the rest of the Senate, particularly the committees with jurisdiction over the portions of this legislation, to agree unanimously to include this amendment in the substitute bill that Leader Schumer will present in September, sometime after Labor Day. Now, the UAP Disclosure Act, it's identical to the text that the Senate approved last year. Word for word, it's identical. So there should be no concerns about it. But the Senate committees with the primary jurisdiction over this legislation, which include Armed Services Committee, Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, Homeland Security, and Governmental Affairs, all of these folks, they have to unanimously approve for this to pass. So we therefore therefore, we have to urge Senators Peters, Senator Rand Paul, the chairman and ranking members of Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs, respectively, with the chairs and ranking members of Senate Armed Services, Senators Reid and Wicker, and Intelligence Committee Chair Senator Warners and Rubio, to consent to the inclusion of this amendment in the substitute NDAA. What we do not want to do, all of you at home, tell your friends this, tell people that are active, politically active in this. What we do not want any of us to do, period, the end, is to attack Senators Schumer, Rounds, or Gillibrand. Full stop.
Yeah, just those three.
Yeah, how about let's not attack anyone, Matt Ford. That's something I appreciate Matt Ford for actually speaking about this, but this should tell you how bad it is, guys. This is Lou Elizondo's mouthpiece, basically begging the community to like, hey, stop. And honestly, I feel kind of bad for Lou. Let's be constructive, Arthur. How does Lou Elizondo, from his point of view, he's basically fostered this environment for like 7 years now, right? His fingers are all up in it. He has DMs with all the craziest, worst harassers. How does he unravel this like mechanism he's got that's, and some could argue, it's just kind of gotten out of control and out of his control even. You know what I mean? What do you do if you're Lou, if you're advising Lou?
If I was advising Lou, I would tell him to call out specific people that he have been his super fans, harassing people, and tell them that I just completely disavow them, and make sure that the rest of the community also disavows them. That would be my advice to him.
Yeah, and it's funny, I didn't or it wasn't clipped here, but he mentioned Sawan by name, the person who doxed David Grush, and I think that's a very relevant point. But we'll play this out, and then we'll reread that Askell thing, and then we'll close this out here.
Full stop. So if Senator Gillibrand posts something that maybe is a little bit guarded or something like that, we can't have people on Twitter attacking her. We can't have people on Twitter or elsewhere attacking Senators Schumer, Rounds, or Gillibrand. Period. The end. They have done their job. They have said what they're going to do, and they have reintroduced this legislation. And it is all of our jobs. It is incumbent upon all of us to support them, to share our support, and to not criticize them. They have done what they said they would do last year when it got defeated. And we should all be incredibly grateful that they have spent this kind of their own political capital to get this back on the books. This is a thankless job for these members of Congress. It's a great political risk to them. They know that they've got the Pentagon, the intelligence community, and the military-industrial complex breathing down their necks. We owe Schumer, Rounds, and Gillibrand. He
keeps on saying those names, bro. I think they must have said something to Lou or something, right? The way he keeps on saying those names. Something's going on here, dude. This is so weird, so bad. It's so unfortunate. Well, that's it, guys. I'm just gonna read this again because I think this is huge. Again, Matt Laslo, I think the most in DC member of the whole entire UFO community. If there's anyone, in my opinion, who you guys should be supporting financially, other than me and Art, no, just kidding, and the UFO timeline, Matt Laslo is definitely one of them. Like I said, I think he's one of the only people. And if I had a bunch of money, I'd be supporting a lot more people. But the stuff he does is kind of unmatched, and no one's really doing it. We've also heard from a lot of lawmakers and their staffs who won't touch the UAP issue because they feel harassed by the UFO community. So again, if you guys see harassment going on, call it out. Support the people being harassed, not just because it's the right thing to do and it's wrong, immoral behavior, but also because it's actually hurting disclosure. Right, Art?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think they're anti-disclosure. I mean, that's my main thesis, is that Elizondo and the whole TTSA crew are anti-disclosure, and they're pretending to be pro-disclosure.
Well, I mean, when you look at what's happened, right? Like, how many people has Elizondo turned from being like a really good pro UFO content creator to like a crazy, deranged debunker, angry person? You know what I mean? There's quite a few. And then this stuff too, like how many people associated with Lou are behind this sentiment of lawmakers not wanting to touch this issue because of the harassment that goes on in this community, right? Like when you look at what's actually happening on paper, that's a very valid question. I still personally think Lou is pro-disclosure and just a grifter and uses these people to just protect his own ego. But I can't leave that other thing off the table, dude. When you look at what's actually happening here, like the mechanism that Lou Elizondo created is directly prohibiting and inhibiting disclosure. Like you have to ask those questions.
I think it's abundantly clear to me. I mean, if you look at it objectively, he was sent here to do a job, and he's not a UFO guy. He's not a ufologist. He's a counter-intel guy, counter-terrorism guy.
Yeah, should we close out with that clip, the classic clip, the banger clip? I'm down. Thanks for being here, Art. Boom. All right. Is that it? Are we up? Yeah, we'll close it out with this one, guys.
Left the Department of Defense, ironically enough, to finish the very mission they gave me in the first place. I didn't ask for it. I'm not a UFO guy, not a ufologist. I never have been, I never will be. I'm a counterterrorism and counterespionage guy. I do counterintelligence, counterinsurgencies. That's what I do. And it just so happens that in 2008, I was asked to apply those same skill sets into the UFO community. Left the Department of Defense, ironically.
And I don't know if you noticed that he was the 33rd interview. That's on purpose too. But yeah, all right, Art. Thanks, man. Shouts out, chat. Let's end the harassment in this community. Peace.